With the upcoming release of Moon Knight on Disney Plus and Moon Knight's introduction to the MCU, I figure I might as well talk about another Moon Knight story. Click that little gray box to find my other Moon Knight video. But I'm not going to cover the original series with Doug Mensch and Bill Sienkiewicz, or the ones that came after the Warren Ellis stories, or even the revival series from the early 2000s. I'm covering the last 6 issues of the Moon Knight series that no one likes or ever talks about. And it's all because the artwork was done by Stephen Platt, extreme 90s artist who really refined his style. You might recognize that name from a previous video I did covering Fighting American, Dogs of War. The same video in which someone who definitely isn't Stephen Platt yelled at me in the comments. But before all that, here are some plugs. Over on my Patreon, I've finished uploading all pages of the 40-page comic anthology, Destructo Boy and Other Exciting Tales. And I am almost nearing completion of the first issue of Destructo Boy, Era of Alpha Cardinal, Part 1. It's about 25 pages, and I will hopefully be getting it on sale sometime in the coming months. And back on Patreon, I'm still in the process of uploading the pages to A Dead Fish in the Grass, a 166-page horror graphic novel set in the Old West. If you're still interested in buying the original printing of the Destructo Boy and Other Exciting Tales book, there are still a few copies for sale at $19.99 plus shipping, so check out the link tree in the description. Not going to be reprinted, I don't plan on doing that. I'm going straight to the Destructo Boy sequel issues, of which there will be 6 eventually. I might do that as a monthly or bi-monthly thing, I'm not sure yet. Also on my Patreon, you can vote each month from one of 3 video topics, and this comic was voted for by the Patreons. Released in 1993, written by Terry Cavanaugh with art by Stephen Platt and Fred Haynes, this is Marc Spector, Moon Knight, the Last Templar, I guess. The story arc, it doesn't really have a name, at least none that I'm familiar with, and it's also never been collected. Marvel, if and when you finally do reprint this, there you go. Use Marc Spector Moon Knight, The Last Templar. It's about the only thing that makes sense. And to start things off, this isn't exactly one of those reading books. This is a looking book, because the writing and story is awful. It's a good thing all those sellers on eBay are listing these 6 issues in those big plastic dumb CGC slabs, so no one can read this crap. The book begins at the SpectorCorp building, in the office of Marlene Alruane, I have no idea how you pronounce her name. I don't think I've ever heard a single person say it out loud. Marlene is Marc Spector's longtime girlfriend. Well, she's more of Stephen Grant's girlfriend. Okay, so Marlene and her father were archaeologists in Egypt, and one day these crazy mercenaries, led by a psycho called Bushman, passed through the town they were staying in, wreaking havoc and pillaging and raping and killing people that were apparently supposed to be rebels. Bushman kills her father and tries to take her for himself, but he is stopped by Marc Spector, mercenary in Bushman's employ. Bushman leaves him to die in the desert. Marc's best friend, Frenchie, escapes with Marlene, and Marc is driven crazy by Khonshu, the god of the moon. Marlene doesn't really acknowledge the presence of Marc's dissociative identity disorder. She always just calls him Grant no matter what personality he has at the time. And I know it's because when it was initially written, you know, he didn't have the personalities, so he was sort of just acting like it. But it still makes it weird because that's not his real name. His real name's Marc. And, you know, before he had those other personalities, these were just pseudonyms he was fucking going by. She was still calling him by the fake one. All that stuff about, like, you know, Marlene and Grant's relationship and what that means to them as people and identity stuff, that's not here at all. I'm here to talk about Marlene infiltrating SpectorCorp to find information about the mysterious Seth Phalkon. That's right, the motherfucker's name is Seth. Marlene has recently, I guess, been promoted to the Director of Mergers and Acquisitions, and now SpectorCorp owns a controlling interest in SpectorCorp. I should also note, before we get any further into this, that I've only read 7 total issues of Marc Spector Moon Knight, 6 of which are the ones I'm talking about today. The 7th is this fucking nutso issue where Mark meets Moon Knights from the multiverse. And there's the Silver Age Moon Knight who has, like, his own Robin, and I can't remember what the other ones were, but the bad guy, get this, is this evil, monstrous version of Moon Knight that's like an evil god. Is this sounding familiar to anybody else, or am I the only one who thinks that Scott Snyder stole this? Also, just wait until the Moon Knight show comes out and we get Moon Knight into the Moonverse. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, she speaks to Seth over a video call as 2 men in security uniforms just sort of sneak around. Jesus, look at her torso! I'm not gonna shit talk Stephen Platt's art. I love it. I feel like he doesn't anymore, but I love this art style. Fuck, I love, like, the extreme Rob Liefeld style, too. So I'm not really gonna go into it that much, at least in this part. I'm not gonna really call out a whole lot, aside from a few things here and there. I'm just saying this as a little preface. So anyway, those security guard guys, they're trying to make their way through the building and break into Seth's office. Meanwhile, Seth is standing in his giant, mechanical, and very windy office in his goddamn vampire pirate outfit, brings up the security footage of the fake security guards, who are actually 2 guys sent by Marc Spector to infiltrate SpectorCorp and get information. Why? You already got Marlene there. Anyway, the big one works on breaking in the doors, and the little one walks off to, I don't know, look around, I guess? I don't know, I guess he gets bored, stand and watch. He uses his forged key card to sneak into a dark computer room, and then Seth Phalkon sneaks up behind him and grabs his neck. Just as Seth is about to absorb the man's life force, the big one crashes through the wall. He tries to fight Seth, but Seth grabs him and sucks out his life force until he's just a skeleton thinly wrapped in skin, like Aunt May. Meanwhile, Marlene hears this. She runs down the hall and finds the dead body and the other guy who has been mentally broken. Across town, at some conspicuous white dome called the Shadow Keep, Moon Knight concludes his weekly therapy session with Dr. Plesko. Plesko says that Moon Knight's continued resistance to reveal his real identity to his therapist probably goes straight to the root of his issues, that being his whole multiple personality disorder that he's been repressing. Moon Knight says that he knows this, and then he takes off his mask. Plesko reveals that he already knew that Marc Spector was Moon Knight. Then he waddles away, because how else would he walk with legs that are that bowed, and lights his goddamn corncob pipe that all therapists are legally required to own. Then Mark is alerted to some security breach, and he runs out of the room as Plesko cracks his back in multiple places. Elsewhere, Frenchie is tortured by 2 idiots who are from this group called the Hellbent. They're demanding that Frenchie give them information on Moon Knight because Seth the Immortal wants him dead. He sounds like a guy hanging out with Nick Kroll's group from What We Do in the Shadows.
I haven't even introduced you to my crew, the Leatherskins. Of course, that's Big Vlad behind you. Abaddon, we've got Mr. 50s. Ah, there he is, Black Vlad, the Exsanguinator. That's Little Vlad. The guy's a fucking maniac.
Frenchie punches the guy, Flair, in the face, and so Flair throws him out the window. But luckily, Frenchie has acquired a power deep within himself, and he is now able to turn into his monstrous, psychopathic grandfather. But don't worry, because that story immediately cuts to the morgue. Mark has been called down to identify the body of Nikolai Cray, for whatever reason. I guess it's because he's a mercenary that Mark hired, so he doesn't really have a whole lot of people left, and somehow they've been ID'd as employees for SpectorCorp or something. Also, what was up with that security breach thing from earlier? Mark and his lawyer are then taken to the police station's padded room and finds Raul Cruz. And look at this. Look at what fucking happened to this dude. God damn. All that, I assume, just from seeing Seth the Immortal suck out a dude's life force. And back in the Frenchie plotline, oh, Jesus Christ, he looks like he rubbed his entire body on an old television screen. He just brutally murders these two people from the Hellbent and then flees when the police show up, and they're like, Jesus Christ, what is happening? Later that night, I presume, Moon Knight stands atop his moon jet before a giant full moon. Look at that size of that moon. Moon Knight is the only book I'll ever be okay with there just being a giant moon. He leaps off of his jet, does a cool karate kick, and lands on the roof of SpectorCorp. But he accidentally triggers the motion-sensing laser with his tiny little ankles, and then we get a cool little action sequence. Hey, look, in this panel, it looks like Moon Knight's throwing the moon like a baseball. Moon Knight swings off the roof and smashes into Marlene's office, and then another turret explodes out of the wall and fucking starts blasting lasers at him. And coincidentally enough, Seth has been watching this whole time from his windy secret office. And then he downloads all of Marc Spector's personal financial portfolio? Moon Knight keeps running from an endless stream of lasers, and if all this red is hurting your eyes, don't worry, it's somehow even worse in person. Several pages later, Moon Knight has successfully traversed this hallway of death and breaks into... what's his fucking name? Oh yeah, Seth. Breaks into Seth's office. He then comes face to face with Seth, the immortal Phalkon, whose fist is glowing because that's his power. But look at how fucking sweet this art is. God, I love it. Moon Knight is immediately socked in the face, and his mask gets torn off, and Seth says that SpectorCorp is his legacy. So they fight a bit, and Seth reveals that soon he will be Marc Spector, whatever that means. They fight some more until Seth forms a sliced grapefruit around his hand, grabs Mark, and starts sucking out his life force or whatever. Then Moon Knight shoots lasers out of his eyes, and the whole room explodes. Some other stuff happens that I'm not even going to bother to mention, like these dumb side stories that involve Grandfather Frenchie, Moon Knight's therapist, and like these sort of good Hellbent members trying to track down all the other dumb hell-bent cultists or whatever. It's not important. Who cares? Just know that that's happening in the background, and they're trying to find this thing called a Hellgate. Moon Knight wakes up in the destroyed ruins of Seth's SpectorCorp office. He figures that Seth just flew out of the window and calls it a done day. So he walks over to Seth's giant computer and downloads all the files that he can or whatever. But then he realizes that Seth has like an inside agent to Moon Knight's Shadow Cabinet, a secret group of informants and agents that Moon Knight put together that work for him. It's kind of like his own Bat family. Later at the Shadow Keep, aka that big white dome, he summons all of the Shadow Cabinet as like holograms or whatever. Moon Knight informs them of the traitor. They all argue, and these characters you will never see again just sort of make chit-chat as Moon Knight orders the secret rings that they all use to contact one another to self-destruct. And just as Moon Knight flexes every atom in his body, the computer brings up a match between his and Seth's files. Marlene. This can't possibly be because of the fact that she works at both places. Elsewhere, Marlene sits on a rooftop of, like, her apartment, I guess, transferring subsidiaries from SpectorCorp to SpectorCorp. When Mark shows up. She asks how he got here, and then he just swacks her across the face. And then it's revealed that it's actually Seth. Somehow Seth has stolen Mark's face, because in addition to his grapefruit hand, he can steal people's faces or something. So Seth starts sucking her life out when Moon Knight sends some moon darts right into his chest. Then we get a sweet looking panel of Moon Knight landing on the roof. Ignore the obvious visuals you can derive from this. It looks cool. Moon Knight and Seth start fighting, and Marlene chucks herself off the roof. Instead of running inside to get away from this, she just goes right off the side. But thankfully, she was caught by the Angel Wing. Seth lifts Moon Knight above his head and starts glowing yellow and prepares to break Mark's body when the Angel Wing rises up and Marlene unloads its cannons onto Seth. But his weird immortal body sustains none of the damages and only his suit is destroyed. Then Moon Knight crucifies him to the building with his moon darts and smashes his face in with his moon truncheon. Marlene lands and then they embrace. They walk inside and Moon Knight and she begin pondering what the fuck they're gonna do with Seth before he recovers, as a mysterious voice comes over the television calling for heroes to join her in the Infinity Crusade! And then Moon Knight fucking vanishes, and Marlene sees a giant demon outside steal Seth away. But yeah, just in the middle of the last 6 issues of the Marc Spector Moon Knight, there is a tie-in with the stupid Infinity Crusade story from fucking 90 whatever. I don't really remember. They are on a planet called Paradise Omega, and the goddess, like the main villain who brainwashes all the superheroes that she collects, she basically tells Moon Knight that he's useless compared to all the other ones with superpowers. You know, because he's just a normal guy. That's aside from the goddamn lasers he shot out of his eyes. Anyway, she's fucking goddess is doing some dumb stuff, and she gets, like, she orders Moondragon to send Thor and some others away to stop this, like, dissenter among the ranks or whatever. I don't care. And Moon Knight's like, wait, not without me. It's my only chance to prove my worth. And he just dives on the teleporter right as Moondragon's about to activate it and gets sent along for the ride. The heroes, the evil brainwashed heroes that is, arrive somewhere and find Spider-Man, their target. And I don't know if there's more of this in the Spider-Man Infinity Crusade tie-in, probably like a little bit more, but what happens here in this entire issue is that Moon Knight somehow gets the upper hand initially on Spidey by grabbing his ankle with a rope and yanks Spider-Man down to Moon Knight's team of multiple men. Then Moon Knight fires his energy hands, of course, at Spider-Man. He dodges, knocks Moon Knight on his ass, and continues his journey to the goddess's cathedral to stop her. And then Moon Knight is teleported away and is told by a disembodied voice that I have no fucking idea. I don't know what these pages are. Oh god, I've been trying to make a lot of sense of this stupid story, and I don't know what the fuck this is. Moon Knight's like, who are you that I'm speaking to right now? Is this the goddess? Am I still in that stupid Infinity Crusade tie-in? And the voice is like, that's not important. Here, since we only have a couple of issues left, I'm just gonna do all that middleman work that you would have had to do to get to your next issue in one. So, here you are. You're in the Amazon rainforest at an ancient temple where there's a hellgate underneath. And also, just for convenience, I led the fucking Frenchie and all the Hellbent there. So, don't worry, Moon Knight. Infinity Crusade is over now, and you can finish up your dumb story. Yeah, this is the point where an already dumb and pointless story goes off the fucking rails. And, like, the in-universe reason for, Moon Knight being sent to the goddamn Amazon rainforest, you wonder? Is because the Soul Gem teleported him there because Mark has Hellbent heritage. That's right. Fucking one of his ancestors was a Hellbent or something.
So as you can see, this is rapidly turning into a disaster.
Underground, meanwhile, because you remember what the voice said, Frenchie's already here, piloting a giant tank and killing Hellbent monsters as Moon Knight works his way from the opposite direction and is attacked by a swarm of them. Moon Knight escapes the gang of Hellbent monsters and escapes. I have no fucking idea what is happening. Have I already said that? I feel like I'm going insane. This guy, he has giant pink sunglasses, and this one's just dressed like Morbius, and these are like the good ones, I think? And there's this giant monster that's just shooting spikes, and at the hellhole that Moon Knight has apparently reached off panel, he fights evil Grandpa Frenchie, who calls himself Bloodline. Get it? They fight until something happens that causes Giant Grandpa to die. I guess he got a heart attack. And he reverts back to Frenchie. And Moon Knight is like, oh my god, I've killed my best friend! And he shouts to the cavernous heavens in vain. Guess who shows up? Fucking what's his name? Seth! That's right, I keep forgetting his dumb fucking name because it's so bland. And says that he finally has unlimited power in his grasp. And Seth, he's black now for some reason. What happened? What is going on? Look at this nonsensical page. Elsewhere, because I'm not done yet, in the caverns, we are introduced to a completely new character who is a Templar of an ancient organization, murdering the little Hellbent monsters or something, but his story doesn't lead anywhere because we only have like 2 issues left, and he never shows up, and at the end of this, he sides with the bad guys. Oh god, what is happening? Marc Spector starts beating the shit out of Seth because Moon Knight the hero won't kill him, but Marc Spector will. But before Mark can kill Seth, the Templars from earlier break through the cave wall, and they start fighting everybody. This woman who looks like she's from one of the 90s Mortal Kombat films takes care of Frenchie's corpse. She was one of those good guys I was telling you about that Frenchie was working with to close the Hellgate or whatever. It doesn't matter. None of this matters, because it's never brought up or discussed again. All of this shit, these dumb motherfuckers. Also, now Seth just has Moon Knight aloft, and he's preparing to break his back or something again, when Moon Knight stabs his truncheon into Seth's heart, and Frenchie wakes up because he didn't actually die. There's also this giant mirror. Did I mention the giant mirror that's through the Hellgate? Seth was planning, you see, on using Frenchie to activate the mirror or something, but Frenchie stands up before the mirror and says that it's not a mirror, it's a looking glass with unlimited power and secret knowledge, and because Frenchie's ancestors or something had something to do with this, I think, he absorbs all of it through the generations. And that's what bloodline is, or whatever. That's why he can turn into his monster grandpa. Seth then runs over and grabs Frenchie and prepares to absorb his life force, and thus all the information that Frenchie's brain holds, because that's how that works, I guess. And then he is choked out by Marc's adamantium truncheon and thrown through the fucking air or something? Where does he go? Marc and Frenchie escape the mirror zone, hellscape thing, go back to the cavern, escape through another portal that's in there with all the others. That's the end of that storyline. That's how that whole thing wraps up. Because they come out midair. Oh my god. It's fucking Stephen Platt. He comes back for the final issue of this goddamn fever dream, and look at this crazy shit. All these dumbasses are teleported away midair above New York and fall into the Shadow Keep. And Marlene appears in her SpectorCorp brand bodysuit. The Hellbent or whatever's escort Frenchie back home as Marlene tells Marc that she and this other character that doesn't matter did some businessy shit while he was gone, and they became the legal owners of both FalconCorp and SpectorCorp, and then, like, dissolved FalconCorp, so now it's all SpectorCorp. And Marc's like, the Federal Trade Commission wouldn't approve of your methods, but I don't care. And then he kisses her with his gross, puffy, destroyed face. Moon Knight puts his uniform on one last time and tells Frenchie that it's time for Moon Knight to stop. Then why did you do that, Marc? Why'd you put it back on? Anyway, he's not gonna stop being Moon Knight. He's gonna stop this whole Moon Knight family idea that he's been working on. He's going back to a one-man show. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? And as he prepares to completely purge everything in his Shadow Keep, who should appear on his screen but Seth! Because one of the files that Moon Knight stole from FalconCorp was a virus that would create a hologram of Seth to taunt Moon Knight. And Hollow Seth begins engaging a total lockdown of the Shadow Keep as Moon Knight orders everyone to evacuate. And Moon Knight, to stop Seth from fucking up his building and locking them all in there and blowing it up or whatever he's gonna do, he just starts smashing shit. He just starts smashing all of his computers and whatever. And this page at least looks really cool. I love those crazy colors. That's just a cool double-page splash. Everybody escapes just before the Shadow Keep explodes, and they're all standing in the smoldering pile of rubble. And then Marc clambers his way out of the ruins, and Marlene races over to him, and Marc thinks to himself that he knows exactly what to say to her, but she is unable to hear it. And he collapses in her arms, and Marc Spector dies. He has no pulse. Frenchie says that Marc sacrificed himself for the future, and his friends and family, and the future for everything Moon Knight fought for. And later they bury him under a giant full moon. I guess they must have had to wait an entire month to do that. And everybody says their words. And Frenchie says that Moon Knight was a light in the night that only he could see. But as the shadows grow deeper, he will forever stay lit. And Moon Knight's giant ghost appears in the stars above and gives them a knowing glance before he goes to heaven or something. I don't know. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of What Is. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. I don't know what to say about this. I think I made my thoughts on this story very clear. I like the art, hate the story. What is this? This is how you end the book. This is the writer who's been on this book for the past, like, 30 issues, maybe? I don't know how long Terry Cavanaugh was writing this fucking shit for. But this is how he ended the book! What? What is this? This is insanity! And, like, honestly, I don't recommend you buying these, especially because of the insane prices they go for on eBay. Because Stephen Platt was a really popular comic book artist in the 90s. He made a lot of money doing it and drawing just like this. But, fuck, the amount that these books are going for on eBay, because we're in a second speculator boom, like we were in the 90s, because of comic book shows and movies being popular, and because there's a Moon Knight show coming out, these books have skyrocketed. People are getting them slabbed, people are selling them for hundreds of dollars. I was lucky to buy all 6 issues like sometime last year, because I've been looking at them for a while, and I figured that since there's going to be a Moon Knight show being like fully announced soon, because how many of the general populace really watches those Disney live streams like I did, I figured I may as well buy them now before they fucking get so kind of expensive. So I was able to find, I think, all of them for under $100. Good luck doing that. Even issue 60, which was going for like $5 to $10 a couple months ago, it's going for like $20, $35 and up. It's ridiculous. Fuck, don't buy it. Don't buy it. I don't know about this series. Like, he kills Moon Knight. Terry Cavanaugh kills off Moon Knight. I guess they knew that he wouldn't be getting another series, so what's the point of resetting the status quo? Aside from, I don't know, if another writer wants to use Marc Spector in a tie-in story or whatever, like a crossover book. But, like, I don't know, was this still in the... What was the Clone Saga? I doubt Spider-Man would have gotten involved with them. Yeah, so fuck, this is how he did it. It's just nothing. There's so little substance here that isn't coming from the art. Fucking Moon Knight has demon heritage. Frenchie turns into a giant evil grandfather. The bad guy's name's Seth, and he dresses, like I said earlier, a vampire pirate. There's like these demons beneath the Amazon rainforest for some reason. What? I want to know what would have happened if that Infinity Crusade tie-in hadn't been a thing. Would this have had to have been more issues? Because as I pointed out, the fact that he has to go away from the main story allows them to just fucking bulldoze and fast forward anything else that we need to worry about. How does Mark figure out he needs to go to the Amazon rainforest? And fucking what's Seth up to? How's he recovering? What's Frenchie up to? Don't have to worry about that. We can just say that he got sent there and everybody else is already there. God, it is... Would this have been even more issues, is what I'm wondering, if that Infinity Crusade issue hadn't been a thing? Like, would they have had to have extended it out past the 60? I don't think they would have. Stephen Platt, I don't know, if you're on YouTube and you made it this far in the video for some reason, can you, like, provide some kind of background information to what it was like working on this book and what you thought of it at the time? Like, was it, I don't know, was this Marvel method? Was this Terry Cavanaugh coming up with this fucking weird-ass story and telling Stephen Platt and fucking, what's his name, Fred Haynes, to go and fucking just draw this? And they had to make sense of this shitty, insane, half-baked ideas. There are so many of those packed into each issue, and it just gets more and more and more, because I feel they were running out of time, and Terry Cavanaugh didn't know or didn't want to bother editing down how he wanted his book to end. What is this? I cannot imagine what it would have been like behind the scenes of this book, trying to make sense of all this shit if it wasn't fully, or at least almost fully scripted out. God almighty. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about this book. Hope everybody enjoys the Moon Knight series, because you'll never see any of this. You won't see Seth Phalkon in the Moon Knight series, that's for sure. As always, follow me on Instagram, @NotBlakeWild, and @Smokey'sVideos. I post updates on my personal account of my comics I'm working on, and just occasionally just drawings that I've done. And on the Smokey's videos, I'll post announcements of my new videos, and some, like if I'm reading a comic book and I find a funny panel, I'll post it on there too. Subscribe to my Patreon if you're interested in that. You know, I'm still going ahead and posting the Dead Fish in the Grass pages each week. I'm working on a comic book. I'm working on the Destructo Boy book. Destructo Boy, The Era of Alpha Cardinal, Part 1. Part 2, I'm almost finished at this time. Part 1, while I'm recording this video, is still awaiting to be printed at the printers. I've sent in all the files, got in contact with all of them, gotten all that taken care of. So I'm just waiting for them to actually print the book itself, and then I will be selling it on Etsy. Don't worry, you'll be hearing a lot about that. Yeah. I feel like I've gone insane. I feel like my brain is just sizzled right now after doing that book. So I'll see you guys next time for a special holiday episode. That's right, I'm doing my first ever Valentine's Day issue or whatever. So I'll see you next time. Bye.